Welcome back to another round of TFR eSports. Here we are once again for the F3 division of season 25, and we are here for round 13 at Interlagos for the Brazilian Grand Prix. We've got a minute and a half left of qualifying. We had heavy rain at the start of this session, and it has suddenly stopped raining. The conditions have improved, and the question is now is who risks it out there on a set of soft tyres. We've got a couple of drivers returning tonight. We've got RW here in the Sauber, and also Nuki Boy making his debut for Red Bull. It's going to be a fascinating session ahead in these final minute or so to see who will snatch pole position here at this legendary circuit. So RW out there at the minute on intermediate tyres. So Danes, your championship leader, who's rapidly having that gap closed by Alfie in the championship battle. He is under pressure here. Alfie out there on a set of soft tyres with about 40 seconds to go here is going to reach the line. Danes, though, 2 seconds up in that middle sector on the intermediate tyres. We're going to see a right old scrap here between the drivers on who will take pole position. Ollie Bean pops himself onto provisional pole with a 17.5. Here comes Danes then, smashes that with a 16.2. A stunning lap there on intermediates. Can hardly even get it slowed down into the first corner. His DRS is now enabled, so don't go anywhere because this is going to be dramatic. Nuki Boy, on his debut then, sets a purple first sector there on the soft tyres. Larry as well got to the line in time, and I think that'll be it. No one else who is coming to the line will be able to set another flying lap. Cyber Mega Hype is diving in the pits. He is done in this session. RW as well has invalidated, so he is also done for the session, and then beats in the wall. He's in the wall on those soft tyres. He's absolutely dropped it there, smashed into the barrier, and he'll start a max of P9 then. Curveball as well will be the last driver across the line. But let's go to Nuki Boy. He's invalidated. He's invalidated on those soft tyres. He's completely blown the chance then of a pole on debut because he was absolutely flying. Ollie Bean is still improving on those intermediate tyres. There's a real crossover here on which is the right tyre to be on. But look out for Alfie just behind. He's 3.5 seconds up at the minute. This could be a stunning pole from Alfie. There goes Ollie Bean, doesn't improve, but Alfie takes provisional pole with a 14.7. Stunning lap then. Danes is in the pits, but Ultimate Stan is going even faster. At the minute, 3.4 seconds up. He's only 3.7 seconds off, and he's going to take pole here by a 10th. There's not much in it. Larry puts himself up into third. Curable then replaces him with a 14.9 there, just under 3/10 off the pace, and that is your grid for this F3 Brazilian GP. It's Ultimate Stan on pole once again. But what a stunning end that was. A stunning end to qualifying there with Ultimate Stan on pole, Alfie on the front row with Curbold and Larry on the second row. Great qualifying from Larry. He's on serious form at the minute. And yes, as Nifo says in the chat, Danes will have work to do from 5th place. He's on a bit of a 3-week streak here of dropping points in this championship. And at the minute, that could continue on. He was top of the runners on those intermediate tyres, but that was not the tyre to be on. At the very end there, he needed to get onto those soft tyres. It was all about who was going to be on the track at the right point. And Ultimate Stan, again, takes pole position this season. And Alfie, though, with a critical lap, he's ahead of his title row. There's 2 cars between them. And you can bet your bottom dollar this is going to be a frantic race in store with MB and Nuki Boy, the 2 Red Bulls, clearly having decent pace there in that qualifying session. And they are both well and truly out of position without any proper lap on the board there. But let me know in the chat, what do you think is going to happen in this race? So we've got 3 races to go of this F3 Championship, and look at the state of that. Look at the state of that. The amount of rain that is coming down at the start here. They are guaranteed an absolute banger in this race. It's going to be one to watch, that is for sure. It's heavy rain expected at the start then, with clear conditions later on. So we're really expecting a proper crossover in conditions. Who will start on the wets? Who will start on the intermediates? Because the intermediates could be another option here. If you survive the opening laps, where you're really going to be in a bit of trouble with how heavy that rain is, you could benefit massively later on and save yourself that extra pit stop. It just depends on who is prepared to take that risk. Alfie and Ledanes, I'll be fascinated to see what tyres do they go for here. What tyres do they risk it on? Because there is plenty to lose for those two drivers. Liam says in the chat, Larry is winning. The Sauber drivers tuning in, trying to help their F3 fellow drivers. And yes, there is actually two of them tonight. Sauber finally with two cars on the grid. Here we go then. Here come the lights ahead of the drivers. We have 5 red lights here in Sao Paulo, and we are on the way. Ledanes then with a fairly decent start in the background, but Ultimate Stand gets us going, and Curl's had an absolute lightning start there off the line. There goes Alfie trying to cover him off up the inside, and has done. He has maintained that second place position. They're on intermediates though, so that's the big gamble. The top two on intermediate tires. So too is Larry, so too is Ledanes. In 4th and 5th, it's Kerbal who's took the gamble then on wet tyres, because everyone else is on the intermediates. There goes Kerbal down the inside, and Alfie had a little look up the inside, and Ledanes has made the move on Larry behind. Sci-Fi Mega Hype as well has got past him. He's on the wet tyre, so he also went for that wet tyre. They may have to make an extra pit stop in this race, but if they can clear the traffic, they'll gain tons of time on their rivals here. There's been a bit of shenanigans at the very back. I think a couple of cars have had a moment, and particularly Ollie Bean has been distanced there on those intermediate tyres. They will struggle quite badly at the beginning of this one, but Ultimate Stand then with a perfect start, keeping it fairly neat and tidy so far. And like I say, if these guys can survive the first few laps here, the conditions will transition to those intermediate tyres. It's all about keeping Kerbal behind him here, Ultimate Stand. But look at these two, Alfie and Ledanes, two title protagonists, very close here on the circuit in 3rd and 4th. That will be one to keep an eye on, because you can be absolutely sure Ledanes has to end this streak of losing out to his title rival. Kerbal then not quite close enough to make a move into the first corner. Northey there getting picked off by MB down the start finish straight, with RW right behind him. So that's intriguing to see. Those two wet tyre runners not exactly going along too well towards the back. There is Kerbal. It's not going to be too easy to make any moves just yet, because there obviously is no DRS in these conditions, but look how much more grip he has under braking, and he is all over the tail of Ultimate Stand. Kerbal obviously was in F2 last week and won that race in Las Vegas, and there he goes up the inside, absolutely sending it there on Ultimate Stand. Maybe caught the Alpine off guard there, and will swoop right around the outside and will take the lead of this race. They're still wheel to wheel, however Kerbal will have the better line for that next corner and takes the lead then. So his objective now is just to get down the road, build that gap to Ultimate Stand and the rest, so then he can get in the pits later on a fresh set of intermediate tyres and make it all back. Because the problem for him now is if Ultimate Stand stays on his gearbox, then those on wet tyres are going to lose out massively here. They'll lose about 20 seconds with that extra pit stop if they cannot get any distance to the others. Meanwhile, further behind, Alfie has got a 1.2 second lead there over Ledanes. There's a move from MB in the background now on Larry. Larry struggling quite a bit on these intermediate tyres here after a great qualifying. He is struggling to find his way through the field. There's RW gaining a bit on Northey and almost making contact with Northey. He has actually got damage on that front wing of the Sauber though, so he will be struggling quite a bit down in 10th. But meanwhile out front, Ultimate Stand is keeping the pace. He's keeping the pace for Kerbal there, and Kerbal is unable to get too far down the road. He's managed to pull clear of everybody else, but yeah, Ultimate Stand is still hot on his tail. Alfie then in 3rd here, keeping that gap fairly stable to Ledanes. There's not too much that's changing there. And like I say though, we are still in the very early stages here in this absolutely rain-soaked Brazilian Grand Prix. We've got a battle at the back there. That's Ollie Bean having a little go at RW. It may be a little bit of a patient kind of wait in this race for the battles to start, as we obviously transition to the dry conditions later on. That will cause chaos, and that is what will be the key part of this race to keep an eye out on, and we'll see plenty more overtaken as well. And there goes RW again onto the grass, struggling a bit there, and Ollie Bean should pick him off now. There he goes up into P10. And I say that though, RW is fighting this one back, and they're touching tyres down stop for straight. And look at the straight line speed on that Sauber, obviously with a bit of broken front wing as well. Absolutely steamed past the McLaren there, and is straight back in front. So gap now 1.3 seconds from Carabold to Ultimate Stan. It's not working out at the minute, I'd have to say, for Carabold, because, which sounds a bit weird considering he's leading the race, but at the minute, if he came into the pits, he would be last. He'd be last in this race, barring obviously the other wet tyre runners. He's probably at the minute aiming for about a P8, and he needs more time on his rivals if he wants to make this work in this race. Alfie then about 5 seconds off Ultimate Stan here, but he is not necessarily going for the win here. He has to keep outscoring Ledanes. The gap in the championship is coming down at the top of F3. It is all the way down now to a mere 22 points. And as it stands, that will obviously go well under 20 points, that gap, if Alfie remains ahead of Ledanes here. Carabold sets the fastest lap of the race, which is to be expected, but like I say, at the minute he's now maybe touch and go ahead of Northey and Ollie Beam by the time he dives into the pits. However, the others are going to be well clear. Nuki Boy and MB, they've got a bit of pace about them now, and I think this is definitely transitioned towards intermediate conditions, because they are hot on the tail of who's that? That's Northey, that's had a moment in the first corner. Thankfully for him, he's got it back going again. But yeah, Nuki Boy now ahead of his teammate MB. This is something I was quite surprised about, because MB has really been performing well in the F3 division for Red Bull this season in a short time of being here. But his teammate, who's rocked up tonight, is ahead of him at the minute. But they seem quite close on pace, and they're motoring along quite nicely now. They're catching Cypher Mega Hype on those wet tyres. And once they've cleared him, it'll be hunting down Ledanes and Alfie of all people. So that will be one to watch from here on in. But so, about to start lap 6. That gap is starting to come down now between Carabold and Ultimate Stan. It'll be a question as well, is can Carabold somehow make those wet tyres last until dry conditions, which sounds crazy, I know. But that might be the only option he's got here, as there goes Nuki Boy, straight past Sci-Fi Mega Hype, easy as you like, down the straight. And the wet tyres now, this is where they're going to really struggle in. No, Sci-Fi hits the back of Nuki Boy, and you'd like to think he'll give that place up, or else he'll pick up a penalty for that, because he got it all wrong under the braking and just plowed back into the Red Bull. There goes Nuki Boy straight past the Haas, so that one gets sorted out. And there goes MB in the background. I think there's a bit of tyre rubbing as well, couldn't quite find a way past, but he saw a little gap there and tried to make the move, but couldn't quite pull it off. But he's got to just stay patient here and not lose too much time, and try and pick a spot in terms of making that overtake, because Sci-Fi is struggling quite badly now on these wet tyres, unfortunately. And you can see we are very much now in intermediate conditions. You can see that line starting to form on the circuit as well, which will be benefiting the intermediate tyres a lot more than the wets, that is for sure. And Ultimate Stan's had a bit of a rocky end to the lap there, actually, because he's lost a bit of time to Carabold after really closing in on the Ferrari. And Carabold does set the fastest lap of the race, so he's not exactly struggling too much right now. There goes MB right around the outside then of Cypher Mega Hype, and there is the fastest lap of the race now from Alfie. So that tells you all you need to know in terms of his pace, that the intermediate tyres are very much now coming into play. So Cypher Mega Hype, unfortunately, his defence of the Red Bulls is well and truly over. We're not far off halfway through this race, and it doesn't look like we're going to be anywhere near dry conditions anytime soon. So it looks as though Carabold will, yes, be having quite a bit of work to do here, and quite a bit of defending to do in a few moments. But for anyone watching concerned with F2, because obviously this has been a bit of a wet race, that will be delayed by about, well, at least 10 to 15 minutes, unfortunately. Right, Carabold then is getting closed in by Ultimate Stan here. These wet tyres are going off at a rapid rate of knots, and he's not going in the pits just yet, and he probably will just have to hang this one on, because there is a lap from Ultimate Stan that tells you all you need to know, and he gets very, very close on the braking. Let's just have a look actually at the difference. Yeah, look at that, a second and a half quicker per lap. Nuki Boy goes even faster then, down in 5th, so keep an eye on him trying to close in on Ledanes very shortly. There is Ultimate Stan then, and he is having a little look to the inside, can't make the move just yet, but he's putting the pressure on Carabold here, and Carabold's just got to survive. He's got to survive until the dry conditions, and there goes Ultimate Stan then at the inside into this corner. That's a gamble, and he might just do it, you know. He's got the better grip, and it's a brilliant move there from Ultimate Stan. Fantastic stuff then from him, just had way more grip, had the inside line, and it's clinical as you like from Ultimate Stan, and he now will be marching towards another victory this season if he can keep that up. You can see there Carabold really, really struggling as he hit the brakes there, trying to get it turned in. And for now, he's just got to try and keep that gap fairly stable to Alfie. But yeah, that was brilliant from Ultimate Stan there. What a move that was. And, well, fast lap just for good measure. Those intermediate tyres are absolutely singing now. And Alfie, let's keep an eye on what he does here. He's only improving by a tiny bit. Ledane's there, keeping his distance to the Haas. You can see him just in front of him. But this is going to be the big story of the race now. We've got the two Red Bulls hunting down the two title challengers here. And Ledanes might just have his mirrors very, very full soon, as Carabold gets a 3-second time penalty. That could prove costly later on. He is struggling like you wouldn't believe on those wet tyres. But Nuki Boy and MB just kind of behind him, not too far back there, are hunting down Ledanes here. They are on a charge. And if you're Alfie, you're kind of hoping those Red Bulls catch Ledanes, but don't catch himself as well, because at the minute Alfie's pace isn't great. Ledanes now has got that gap now down to 1.1 seconds, make that 1.2 now. So Alfie now starting to feel a little bit more pressure with Ledanes right on his tail. But Nuki Boy maybe not having as smooth of a lap this time. He's still improving, but it looks like Ledanes now has got his foot down, and he's got that gap to a second, and he is rapidly catching Alfie, who is also catching Carabold here. So that will be one to keep an eye on, as Larry unfortunately picks up a time penalty as he is about to make a move, I think, on Sci-Fi Mega Hype, with Ollie Bean just behind him. But here comes Larry then. Will he send it up the inside? He's probably going to be a bit too far back for that one. Has a little think about it. But again, he's just got to be patient here, but not be too patient, because he's got that McLaren right on his tail behind. These guys are very much in a scrap for P7, and that'll be about it. But Nuki Boy there has absolutely had a blinding first sector, as Larry does indeed make that move on Sci-Fi Mega Hype. But Nuki Boy now right on the tail of the Danes after a stunning first sector there. And, well, what is going to happen here? How does Alfie play this one? He's got to somehow get his foot down and get clear of Ledanes, because he is now catching him rapidly, as Ledanes knows he's coming under big threat from behind here. But we've still got plenty of laps to go, so this is going to be on an absolute knife edge. And just to add another thing in the mix, this rain is easing more and more by the lap. You can just even see, maybe not from that camera shot, but it is getting lighter and lighter here, and Alfie is about a second quicker than Carabold a lap, and that was a huge mistake there from Ledanes. Very lucky he didn't get any wider there. Well, that could have been him in the barrier. Nuki Boy then right on the tail of Ledanes. Ledanes gets that all wrong actually into the first corner. He's lucky Nuki Boy there was a little bit wide on entry, but he is seriously closing in here, and this is going to be a three-way tussle then, potentially for P2, because these guys are all catching Carabold. And this is anyone's guess what the podium will be. Let me know in the chat what you think this podium will be, because this race is on a total knife edge at the minute. So who is going to be where. And Nuki Boy then, again, seems very quick in that first sector. But then in this part of the lap, it doesn't seem to quite hook it up as well. So Liam Kemp says Stan, Alfie and Larry on the podium. Obviously, fellow Sauber driver there. But that could still happen technically. Which sounds crazy to say again. But if he gets the tyre change right later on, if this does actually dry up. But we're running out of laps for it to dry up. ABJ says Stan, Nuke and Ledanes as his podium. That's Curable in the pits, so he's given up on it. He has given up on those wet tyres. I said it earlier, I'm not sure it was the right gamble to go for, and it's dry tyres going on the car. That's a gamble if you've ever seen one. But there is Nuki Boy again, getting very, very close to Ledanes. But Curable going on those dry tyres. It's still raining, for crying out loud. I'm not sure that's going to work at all. Nifo saying Stan, Alfie and Ledanes as his podium. But there is Curable then coming out on those dry tyres. Nuki Boy so close this time around to Ledanes. And, wow, it's surely only a matter of time. But, again, does he want third here, or does he smell the opportunity to go after second as well? Curbled there on those dry tyres. This is surely not going to be the right call, because there is the Haas of Cypher Mega Hype all over his tail on the wet tyres. I mean, I wonder if maybe the wet tyres had maybe burnt out for Curbled, but this is surely not going to be the right strategy. And yeah, the track is still soaking wet, and well, it's just going to be survival tactics from him. Just probably make it to the flag. And oh, he's so close there for colliding with the Haas. But there is Nuki Boy on Ledanes. This is going to be big. There he goes to the outside on Ledanes. Ledanes covers that inside line. Nicely done from him. But Nuki Boy is on a charge here, and it's all about, can Ledanes hang on to these critical points here. Here comes Nuki Boy. Goes to the outside on Ledanes, and he can't defend that. He can't defend it. He's going to chuck up the inside anyway. He'll be lucky if he gets that slowed down, and he has. Great defense there from Ledanes. Oh, they're going to touch. Oh my word, how on earth they didn't go in the wall. I've seen that crash happen so many times over the seasons, but that so easily there could have been the moment where Ledanes was in the barrier and would lose the championship lead. That's how much is at stake here for Ledanes here. And he's now got both Red Bulls hot on his tail. So how do they play it? Nuki Boy's had a go. Will he let MB have a go next? What a thrilling end to this race here. And the rain is just getting that a little bit lighter. I thought it'd stop raining there. I'm telling you, you know what? It very much almost has. When you look at it from this camera shot here, it doesn't look like it's raining at all. The track may take a lap or two to dry up, but that could be another gamble here for some drivers, is do they pit for dries right at the end of this one? It has indeed stopped raining. Incredible stuff then at the very end of this one. The race winner is absolutely settled here. Helmut Stan is miles up front. Doesn't matter what's going to happen in these closing stages. He's got plenty of time to make a decision. The two Red Bulls now going wheel to wheel, and that's MB taking off the position from Nuki Boy. So it will be MB that will have a go then at Ledanes next, and with a purple first sector there, he is absolutely on a charge. Curbold's still struggling on those dry tyres, so it's still not time for the crossover, but they will be getting very, very close to that. And it's, how is your bottle here? Who will take the gamble first? To be honest, if you're a Red Bull, you get one of these cars in pretty soon just to take the risk on a set of soft tyres and maybe jump the lot of them. Because if you got both cars stuck behind, well, someone's going to have to get in the pits first, or else you're both going to be queuing and neither of you will get anything from this one. But let's find out then. Alfie at the front of this queue. No one's coming in just yet, although Ledanes is. Incredible. He takes the gamble, and just gets that slowed down. This is a big gamble then from Ledanes. There's only a couple of other drivers on the medium tyres. Curbold is starting to improve now, and he's starting to take a small amount of time out of Sci-Fi. Soft tyres onto the car. And there's a move down the straight. That's Larry and Ollie Bean. Ollie Bean get very close, and he's going to chuck it right up the inside. And a fantastic move that is from Ollie Bean. Really late on the brakes and just about gets it done. DRS is enabled, and there is Ledanes coming out the pits then with these two right in front of them. So there goes Larry, straight back past Ollie Bean then, down the inside, and clinical move from him. But they're right in front of Ledanes here, scrapping away for their own position here. Ledanes is going to be right in the thick of this. On those soft tyres, he might have made the right call, but he's going to be seriously impeded here with the cars all around him fighting for their own positions. So there is Ledanes. Going to be stuck behind Ollie Bean. He's got a penalty. He's got a penalty there for exceeding track limits, and he's hitting the McLaren as well. This is going to be so frustrating for him. Ultimate Stan stays out, I think. Yes, he does. He stays out another lap. So, like I say, he's got the time to do that, and none of the others are coming in. That is incredible. There's the move from MP on Alfie then into the first corner. Gets the job done. Up into second place ahead of Alfie. So that is a big surprise. I thought they were all going to peel in the pits, but they're going to hang it out here. They're taking the gamble of hanging this out to the checkered flag, and they've got plenty of time to do so. Nuki Boy then having a little look to the inside. He gets on the grass now as well and slides almost off the circuit. So Alfie now is in the Red Bull sandwich here, having to hang on. And he has to try and hang on here because he's got so many points that he's going to potentially gain on Ledanes if he can get ahead of these Red Bulls. But I'm not sure he's going to. MB is clear and ahead of Alfie, and there is no threat to him. I totally get it with Ultimate Stan, to be honest. If the others behind aren't pitting, then he doesn't need to worry about that one bit. He'll get this to the checkered flag, and as long as those intermediate tyres will hang on, then he will be totally sorted. But he sets the fast lap of the race, but Ledanes is absolutely catching these guys at a rapid rate or not. He took about 4 seconds out of them in the last couple of sectors. So there goes Nuki Boy then to the outside with the DRS now open, and it's job done on Alfie. Easy move then from Nuki Boy. Alfie might just have another go up the inside. He's risking it. He is absolutely risking it, and he won't have the better line for that corner. No, the Red Bull's off and in front. MP's off into the wall and just gets it going. No damage on the car, thankfully for him. So that's Alfie now back into a critical position there in this championship scrap. But Ledanes then is just there. You can see the Red Bull in the distance. So Ledanes is still in this race. He's still in the mix. We've only got a lap and a half to go, but he is absolutely taking chunks of time out of the cars in front of him. So, how do these two play it? Does Alfie just settle for the podium here, just get the points and gain some more over Ledanes and get the heck out of here? Or does he fight this one tooth and nail to the checker flag? Ultimate Stan is about to start the final lap, and he is absolutely in a different postcode compared to the rest of this field. But it's Nuki Boy then who will have a little go, surely, into the first corner. And there he goes. Screw the first corner. He's done it already. He's clear of Alfie. Alfie's got a great toe right behind him, though, and he might just have another go up the inside. Has a little think about it, and he is sending it. Can he get it slowed down? Just about. Has to get tucked behind the Red Bull once more, and we'll have DRS down this straight. But I'm not sure he's going to be close enough. And he might just have to settle for P3, or at least try and get it on the run up to the hill. There is Ledanes then, 3 seconds behind that Red Bull. If he didn't have that penalty, he genuinely would catch him here, because he is seriously closing in. Larry with the fastest lap of the race, to potentially that extra point for Sauber. And there is Ultimate Stan scrapping out with a lapped car there. Not entirely sure what's going on there with RW unlapping himself. However, Ultimate Stan is making the climb up the hill, and he will take a dominant victory here for Alpine. Ultimate Stan will win once again here in F3 by an absolute distance. Further behind, Nuki Boy on his debut here is going to take a stunning P2 then for Red Bull with Alfie third. There is Ledanes then up the hill, and he's going to get MB. But with that penalty for the Williams, he will not hang on to that position. Alfie then comes home third. He's delighted with that. It's points he's gained over Ledanes. MB does end up fourth in the end. Ledane Smith, what a race that was. That had drama all the way through it towards the end there, and you had no idea how that one was going to play out. Ollie Bean survives on those intermediates, recovers to a P6. That's not a bad result at all for him, considering how his race started. Carabel then in 7th. The wet tire gamble didn't quite work for him, with Larry behind in 8th. Cypher Mega Hype further down in 9th. The wet tires were just not the right tire to go on at the start of this race. It maybe was for the short-term gain, but it did not prove to be the right thing to do, as Sci-Fi finishes in 9th, and it's RW then in 10th, who managed to get himself unlapped then right at the very end. What a race that was, and the championship is rolling on to the penultimate round of the season. Well, what happens from here on in? Let me know in the chat, who do you think is going to be the champion at this rate? 2 rounds to go, Saudi and Abu Dhabi, and there is going to be not a lot between these drivers. Alfie is keeping this one going. That's 4 weeks in a row now. Ledanes has dropped points to Alfie. Is the pressure getting to him? So, Ultimate Stan picks up his, once I get the stat, I think it's 4. I will get it just to be sure. It is indeed his 4th win of the season for Ultimate Stan. And, well, how he's not quite got driver date, I'm not too sure. But, however, I say that, Nuki Boy, what a great drive that was on his debut. The 2 Red Bulls recovered brilliantly. I said that at the end of qualifying. They were out of position. They had a lot more pace to show, and they absolutely showed it in that race. Car in 2nd and a car in 4th. They'll be delighted with that. Alfie, vital podium that is. A vital podium for him. Gains critical points over Ledanes in this championship. And this one is going to be very, very close. I have no idea what way it's going to swing around. Ledanes had this championship under control, but it seemed like when we came back from that winter break for the Belgium GP, from that point onwards, he's just had a scruffy set of races. Since Belgium, if I bring that up, he had won, before that, he'd won the last 2 and been in the top 2 for the last 4 before Belgium. But since Belgium, he's finished P6 at Spa, P10 at Monza, P4 at Vegas, and then P5 tonight in Brazil. So, let's see, can Ledanes pick himself back up in Saudi Arabia next week and recover himself in this championship battle, or will Alfie manage to capitalise and take the championship lead before the final round in Abu Dhabi in a couple of weeks' time? We'll find out, and we'll see you in the next one.